It's 6:30 in the morning. I'm trying to be super quiet so I don't wake anybody up. But we're going to have some good vibes this morning. The birds are singing. They're chirping. Me and Matthew had the honor of talking to a Mr. ARC4G, a 3D motion designer specializing in minimalistic looping animations. He's a really cool guy. Can't wait for you to check it out. So welcome everybody to the Not Network podcast. Today is a wonderful day. Today is a little different.
God damn it. I'm going to re-cue that one.
No, we're going with it. That's my computer. It reminds me of the time so I can stay focused. And we're actually starting on time right now. So going into the intro today, we're going to have this freaking G, ARC4G, coming on the Not Network podcast. He says, hello, everybody. And why do I say he says hello? Because me and Matthew today are going to be speaking for him. Yeah. So ARC has a rare disease. He says, let's pretend we just met. Hello.
Like we're in a bar or
Welcome.
something. We're going to role play a little bit.
Yes. Just set the scene, set the mood, set the tone, little vibes.
Black Eyed Peas is playing in the background.
Mm-hmm. Just imagine that. We'll actually put that in the audio.
Yeah, we will.
It's going to be like fading in. So Mr. ARC4G, he has a rare disease called SMA. And what SMA is it doesn't really allow him to kind of talk through us. So we're going to be talking for him. Right now we're in a Discord chat, and he's texting.
Yeah, so he is here in spirit as we speak.
He is here.
Live.
He's here digitally.
Yes.
And that's just kind of fucking cool as hell. Just to be like in the same space as somebody else.
That is true.
Even if they're not speaking. So
yeah, or even close in proximity. I mean, he's all the way across the world.
Yeah.
In proximity to us. And,
right.
You know, we're just chit-chatting it up.
Dude, I freaking love 2021.
Yeah, the internet's a beautiful thing.
Internet is beautiful. Literally on the other side of the earth, he
Shout
says.
out to Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. All right, so to go in a little bit with SMA, what is SMA, you might ask? SMA is spinal muscular atrophy.
Atrophy.
Thank you.
Got you, bro.
So bad with words. It's caused by a mutation in the survival motor neuron gene. In a healthy person, this gene produces a protein that is critical to the function of the nerves that control our muscles. Individuals with SMA don't produce survival motor neuron protein at a high enough level. Without this protein, those nerve cells cannot properly function and eventually die, leading to debilitating and sometimes fatal muscle weakness. So just to give y'all an idea of how rare this is, it affects approximately 1 in 11,000 births in the U.S. About 1 in every 50 Americans is a genetic carrier. SMA can affect any race or gender. And that's just in America by itself. So Arc saying it's like a rare Pokemon. So think of it like that, of like, you know, how many people in the world can have that. It's very small. Mm-hmm. And so what's really cool about Mr. Arc here is that he does a little bit of 3D design and also 3D motion design, which is totally badass in and of itself, because I try my hand at motion and I just suck at it. Motion is hard. You have to have an eye. You have to kind of play around with it a little. And the way that Arc does his motion design is it's very simplistic. I guess your experience with SMA kind of connects that simplicity, but it's like very pleasing to look at. They're looping animations and they're really fun just to stare. If I wanted anything in my house, it wouldn't really.
He says it's like minimalism.
Minimalism, yes, that's a great word.
It's a better word to describe it.
Mm-hmm. Like, and he's also going into the crypto phase, and we have like a bunch of lists and questions to get on with him. But just to talk about like the NFT space of having kind of what are they called? Invisible glass. The little pictures that are digital picture frames.
Yes, I love those.
I'm blanking on the name right now, but it's the thing that people got, and I would love to have like one of those just like sitting, because it's like a constant reminder of just like infinite objects. Thank you, Arc. Arc said infinite objects. That's the brand name. That's what they're called. But getting one of those and just like setting it up, because since it's looping, like it's just continual, and it literally is a piece of artwork. It influences the whole environment that it's placed in.
Yeah.
And I think that's what art's supposed to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just beautiful to watch because it's just like you said, it's just like peaceful. It's smooth and it's always there.
Yeah.
It's constant. And it's just neat to watch. It's mesmerizing, I think would be a good word.
And the colors and materials he uses are also pretty darn gnarly too. He uses they're like
it's fun entertainment. That's what he said.
Fun entertainment. Yeah. It's cool to think like everything about it is so simple, but that's the thing about design, and I've been learning about it. I've been watching a little bit of Chris Do from the future, and design is very, like, you look at it and it's very simple, right? But the intricacies can be hard to figure out from an outsider.
Definitely.
Once you got it down, and ARC's got it down, it's just one thing after another of creating these seamless designs.
Yeah.
So it's great. So, without further ado, he says, I want you to be able to read it easily. Right. The artwork, is that what you're talking about? Yes.
Yeah, it's very digestible. Very digestible. Like anyone can look at it and just be like, that's neat. And part of the minimalism is what I think makes it so digestible. It's not like, oh my God, there's a lot of like colors and movement that's going on everywhere, every which way, and I don't know what's going on or what to make heads or tails of this. It's just like, I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, even if it's just a few clicks.
Yeah.
That doesn't it doesn't matter if it's just a few clicks. It's I think the end product with everything is what matters, or even the journey. It's kind of like a balance, I think. With an outsider looking at it, they're looking at the final product, like we've said before. But for an artist, it's more of the journey that they ride, the roller coaster to get to the finish line for that piece of art. And we're gonna go to the journey a little bit with Mr. ARC4G here. I keep saying Mr. ARC4G.
Mr. ARC.
I feel like you're
distinguished.
Yeah. Fancy smancy. So ARC said, effort doesn't equal good, although I still put a lot of effort into those.
You're absolutely right. And actually something that you may not want to talk about this if you don't want to, but you've got a little, some haters out there.
Yeah.
That
we're going to get to that.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to the haters.
We don't want to shine a spotlight on the haters, but we do want to shine a spotlight on how ARC reacts to them, because I think that's pinnacle. We were talking about like one of our first podcasts with Euphoria, and we were talking about how Blake Catherine just kind of responded to some people that literally reproduced her artwork in live space, and it was just kind of like, that's really similar, and she handled it really well. But we're gonna get into that too. So the first question we're gonna ask ARC is, who or what got you into the arts? What made you decide to go with Blender specifically? So ARC being a Blender genius, Blender god, not the Blender guru, but little by slow, learning from his ways. He got into 3D after he had to quit gaming because of SMA. He progressed to the point where he couldn't comfortably hold a controller anymore, or mouse or keyboard. So 3D was the natural alternative since he was always fascinated by the technology behind games. He used to admire small details like the tracks left on mud when you drive your vehicle on it, or destruction physics in games, etc. Do you have something to say about that?
Yeah. Well, just quickly to point out, I think it's important to note that I read your article on Medium, which was fascinating to see.
He has 2 articles out on Medium.
I don't know which one I read then, like the first or second.
No, I'm adding context to it.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, shout out to your articles on Medium. But you can't use a traditional mouse and keyboard. You have to find different tools to kind of work around SMA. And it kind of blows my mind because it hasn't like handicapped you in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't seem like to me. And I'm sure you've gone through your fair share of struggles with it, but like you can't notice in the artwork. It's just the artwork,
right?
Which is always something that I've found pretty fascinating, and that you found your way to do it. And that's just how you go about it. So.
Right. When I was looking at your artwork when I first saw it, and when I first reached out, I had no idea that you had a disability until I started going a little bit more depth, and I was like, holy shit, SMA? That's kind of like a thing that Stephen Hawkins had.
Similar. Stephen Hawking, yeah.
Stephen Hawking, my bad.
Similar.
Ark said he kept it hidden for years. He only recently started talking about my disability. So he has a similar one.
He doesn't. Stephen Hawking doesn't have SMA, but it's similar. Just to give you an idea of someone
like a famous
that you've seen
person
before,
who, the kind of. So, why did you recently start talking about your disability? What kept it hidden for kind of years before? Why is it just recently?
Yeah.
That's something that I'm kind of curious about, because, like I said, never even heard of somebody having a disability while doing 3D.
Yeah, I hadn't either.
That kind of blows my mind, especially with all the like education materials out there of just somebody going through the learning process. I never thought about it going through it in somebody else's shoes, who can't, use a mouse and a keyboard like everybody else does. So that, and honestly, that just kind of inspires me to work a little bit harder, to notice and find kind of the special things of what makes other art unique.
He says, because my disability was always a disadvantage and I always felt uncomfortable talking about it. So, I mean, it just, I think some of the importance of this episode and talking about this, and you're still typing, I'm just going to let you type your thing out. You can take your time. But part of the importance of this episode and why I was excited about it is to like let people know that there are people out there that do it like this. Yeah. And it doesn't, like I said, I don't want to like what's the word? Like repress your struggles with it, but I'm just saying it's not something that's a primary focus of your artwork. It's just like you make it and it's amazing, and people think it's amazing just because of what it is, not because of how you even did it. And so, like you were saying earlier, effort doesn't equal good, but you still put a lot of effort into it. It's just about the end product. So I'm glad to bring a little bit of awareness to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, and it's such an inspiration to people, I guess, who have not just like SMA, but like kind of other disabilities, and working to that. I know a really big inspiration for me is Chris Nickick. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, Ark, but he's the just talking about disability in general and things that there are roadblocks to that you have to overcome. Is he was the first man with Down syndrome to complete an Ironman, like I was like super incredible to watch, and I was like, damn, I think he's about my age or maybe like a few years older, but I was like, that's really cool, and that's just been like one of a motivation factor for me of just kind of looking at a goal and then moving up. So Ark just said when he grew up, he started thinking that he should use every advantage he has, and by telling people about his disability, it gives more depth to my work.
It does.
Yeah, like it amplifies. Like I said before, like I had no idea that you had this.
Yeah, that's the amazing part.
And even with you having it, just knowing what you've had to overcome, because I think people don't really get this with, and especially with 3D work, is that there's an artistic point and then there's a technical kind of eye that you have to have. You have to understand mathematics to kind of put it in order. And if I'm correct in this, you started Blender in around like 2016, 2017 range, and I see you still typing. But when I went on Blender in that era, they still had left click to be the kind of center point, and that was so annoying. And for new users, left click was supposed to be like selecting, but it wasn't. It was right click was selecting. And its user experience and interface was all whacked out and hard to use. So just major props for you. Just getting in there and learning it, getting in the weeds a little bit.
Says, also, I only started talking about it after I got a bit of traction because I didn't want to use the disability as something to make people fake like my work. So I proved myself first. That's badass. That's badass. I think that's kind of an important part of it, right? Because similar to Nick, the guy that you just...
Yeah,
Chris. Like completing an Ironman, for anybody. That's crazy to me because I'm not like that.
Right.
Like, yeah, those are like top of the top kind of athletes. But on top of that, having Down syndrome, a disability that would prevent most people from being able to do that, that is what makes it all the more greater, even though it was already great. Same with like being a one-armed basketball player. Like being good at basketball doesn't just come naturally to anybody.
Right.
And being good at basketball is always great, but having one arm and also being really good at basketball makes it even greater. So with you already being great at art, now your disability just makes it even greater. Like you said, it gives more depth to your work.
Yeah.
Because there's more of a story behind it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that like with 3D. Anytime I jump into Cinema 4D or like I hop on Twitter and I'm looking at like different illustrators or designers, it's difficult to learn 3D. It really is if you're coming from a certain perspective, and so having that for you, proving it to yourself first, I can't help but just kind of I wouldn't say relate, but like I understand. You have a desire for you, and it's not for anybody else.
Yeah.
You don't make work. Yeah, he says people just think you just press buttons. It's not like that. There's a lot more to it. You're not just pushing render on Octane. You're figuring out materials. You're figuring out lighting. You're figuring out composition.
There's math involved.
You have to figure out your hierarchy. What objects are linked together. So yeah. If anybody thinks it's easy, go download Blender and make a house, then get back to us. So that's what ARC just said. But if they follow Blender Guru, he just came out with a tutorial about making a log cabin in 15 minutes. So I don't know. So maybe some people are gonna come back and they're gonna be like, I did it
in 15 minutes.
No, it's not that simple.
Definitely not.
It's not. He just describes the basics in that video. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's phenomenal. And to describe the technological, the hardware that he uses is that you use a phone for a mouse. Smartphone for a mouse, and then the keyboard also on the phone, right? So yeah. So he said if they did, it's great. You may now continue and enjoy your new hobby.
Yeah.
Amazing. So he's using his phone right now. Okay. Gotcha. So no keyboards are involved.
No mice.
Those.
And something that I found interesting that was part of your article. It was like someone with SMA, whenever they get used to doing a specific task, it's really hard to unlearn or learn something new to do the same task. So whenever there's like software updates or even hardware updates, it can be really hard to relearn that stuff. And you've had to actually reach out to different companies and be like, hey, can you give me the file for this old software so that I can keep using it the way that I was using it? Because you were at some point thinking that it was maybe even going to end your hobby and your career. I said because your muscle gets used to it.
Mm-hmm. It's that muscle memory that just your body's like, okay, let me keep doing it the same way.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to reach out and with a software update, reach the button placements are different, or there's new items. It's a different UI interface, and so that's what that means when updates come around. Yeah.
But good on those companies for sending that to you and just and being accommodating for that. I'm sure that could probably kind of be scary. I mean, because they could easily just ignore it and not care. Because obviously the majority of their base probably does not have SMA or those similar disadvantages.
Right. I think it's not in their benefit to do that. Like it's in their benefit to help out one another, and especially I know the Blender community's pretty rough out there. It used to be really rough, but it's gotten a whole lot better about the camaraderie in there. So I know that they kind of bolster each other.
He said it's just because it's just for one person. Why would you keep hosting old software for one person? So he said he understands.
Right.
But I mean, like you're saying,
it's if like, especially if a lot of people, are digging your art and you're just like, hey, who's the main master of Blender? Oh, I'm blanking on Blender. Hey, Blender CEO, can you give me the old files of the software so I can continue it? So it's for him. He's looking at it from a point of view of like, this kid's making like dope art, you know? He's making things that are inspiring people. He's making everybody excited. And that's what I want my community is. So he says Blender actually has a version from 10 years ago.
Every version from 10 years ago.
Okay. Wow. And that's what I freaking love.
Is it for that reason? To accommodate people who just don't want to end the app?
Okay. So software updates with applications. He says he's mostly talking about the controllers he's using for the phones. Okay. Yeah, because I know Blender has like their community is freaking awesome, and I bet ARC, you could attest to that. Is that there's a lot of resources out there for specifically Blender. But kind of moving on to where he got started, we asked him, how old are you when you got started with 3D? And did you go to college? ARC says, I was homeschooled from a young age, so I don't have any degrees. I started learning 3D 3 years ago. I'm 24 now, so when I was 21, I think.
This started fairly recently. And at an age where most people are like already have their career set out, or they know what they're going to do.
Really?
I would think so.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, at 21.
I don't think anybody has, at least now, most of the people I hang around with don't know what they want.
Really?
Yeah. Not you.
But I mean, well, I mean, like, just to get into something like 3D, I mean, I'm sure it just started as a hobby, right?
Yeah.
Like, you never really thought that this would turn into anything. I would guess. Yeah, you got lucky. That's what you said. I got lucky. And that was kind of what it boils down to at some point. Like, you need a little bit of luck, a lot of effort, a lot of hard work, always. But that should just be for anything. But always need a little bit of luck to make it big time, I guess.
Yeah. And that's something that's a lot overlooked, is kind of that luck factor.
It's true.
But hey, it works out for him, and yeah. he's capitalizing on that. That's what you got to do.
Definitely.
You got to use it to your advantage. So ARC says you need to put effort, of course, but when an opportunity comes, you're ready.
That's exactly what it is.
Ooh, okay, yes. I was listening to this song, and this guy was this reminds me. So he says some people never get the opportunity, and that's so right. Mm-hmm. Is that you have to be prepared for when the opportunity comes your way.
Yeah.
That reminds me of this like one rap song where this guy, he's practicing to be a disc jockey every single day, and one day at the studio, the disc jockey that on air was just completely trashed, and so he got a call from the who is the radio? The big honcho over at the guy who owns the radio station, right? And he's like, "Hey, you need to call somebody else to get in the studio so they can, continue the show." And he's like, "This is my." He's like, "Yes, sir." Hangs up the phone, calls his mom and girlfriend, and says, "Guys, turn on the station because I'm about to be on air." He goes and he does the show himself. The rest is history, and that's what you need to do. You need to practice on your craft, and you need to get just be ready for the opportunity.
Yeah,
that's a great way to describe it, because I'm bad at articulating. Yeah. I'm glad you're good at articulating.
Yeah, I agree. I could not have said it like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like
he said, Lamau.
Yeah, with that, like people always say, never stop chasing your dreams and stuff like that, and we kind of, at least me, I always kind of roll my eyes. It's like, yeah, okay, well, whatever. It's easier said than done.
Absolutely.
But that's kind of what it means. Mm-hmm. It means just never put that on the wayside.
Right.
Like never just completely give up, because if you keep fostering that, you keep getting better, one day maybe that opportunity will come.
Right.
And then you'll get to do that for a career. You'll make it big time.
Right. I think it's a bad sphere to think that, I want to do this craft because I want to get famous.
Right.
Because if your goal is to get famous, then everything, your surroundings, your beliefs are structured on the opinions of others and what they think. And that's not what it should be about. It should be about you enjoying something. It's just about trying, basically. So, but it's also good to have goals. And as ARC is typing away, he says one of his goals is to get verified on Twitter. And I think that's a great kind of structure to have a journey, is you do have these little goals that you have that accomplish the one vision. The vision should not be, hey, I'm famous.
or I have millions, or everybody knows my name.
Exactly. It's not for clout. It's because you enjoy it.
He says it's a dumb goal, but I disagree with you, ARC4G.
I disagree too.
I think it's a short-term goal for a long-term. Says it's for clout. it's for clout. You know what?
The Pepe.
Screw what I was about to say. I think it is for clout. You're a clout chaser, ARC. It's official. That's what all of this is about.
I am. He wants it. He wants it badly.
He wants that blue check mark, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, I think, that's really what life boils down to, is that blue check mark. At the end of the day, it's whether when you're on your deathbed, it's people with blue check marks and it's people without blue check marks. So, choose your path. I think you're going down the right way, the stairway to heaven.
That's a weird dichotomy with blue check marks, because it's like if you're saying you're chasing for the clout, like, you'll never get it. But if you say, or clout, if you get the blue check mark, that'll just amplify your opportunity and what you have. But yeah, I just think that he's typing away right now. He's just transparent about his clout chasing, which we can respect. We can respect.
You're a grinder, man.
I have so much trouble believing that, though, because I see your art. I just don't want to believe it. I see your art, and I don't see you posting, hey, like everything that I have. I like it. I see you as an opportunist, and you're posting it to Reddit, you're posting it to Twitter, you're posting it to Instagram. I don't look at that as clout. I think you are saying, this is who I am, and you can either accept it or you can get the fuck out of my way. Well, because I'm going.
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing about art is, like, as much as we try to say that it's not about this, at the end of the day, we just want people to see it. We want people to look at it. We want people to like it because we like it. So it's all kind of, I think at the end of the day, it's all kind of selfish, and we're outreaching for people to look and give us a little bit of affirmation on what we think is good, at least in some capacity.
No, absolutely. It's definitely a dichotomy, because there's one side of it that
he says it's all for entertainment.
It's all for fun. It's for fun. Which I agree, but it's like there's these two sides of the coin, and they can be flip-floppity at any time.
Flip-floppity. Get off my property.
He says, and maybe make a living with it. I started doing it for free. Yeah, that's how you do it, dude. You start doing shit you love for free. Mm-hmm. And then you get famous like ARC, and you get the blue check mark.
Yeah. Yeah. And then everybody's screaming your name. ARC4G, ARC4G, ARC4G.
So he'll continue regardless of what happens to it.
Yeah, well, that completely destroys your cloud chaser argument.
Exactly. There's the dichotomy. It's so weird.
Yeah, you'll always do it just because you love it. So whether nobody's looking at it, you're still going to do it. But of course, at the end of the day, like you said, that's that dichotomy. If everyone loves it, great.
Yeah. And it's really interesting to see it. And while talking to you, you have this. You are what is it? Unashamed. You have no shame in saying it's for clout. But then you also want to say, you'll do it for free, which it's like both are on two opposite sides of the spectrum. And that's what we like. You're either hot or cold. You're not the middle ground. You're not, maybe I'll do this, maybe I won't. You're not just kind of, a layover. You're hard for one and the other. And that's the dichotomy you need to have. So I think that's a really great perspective.
It's called passion.
That you're going for. Yeah, passion. Passion going through both ways. I thought I saw your mic falling, so I went to reach for it. So, I mean, so he brings up this proposition. Okay. So he's like, if your podcast got verified on Twitter and got 5 million likes, you'd be happy. This is correct.
100%. I'd venture to say I would be ecstatic.
Yeah. I think I'd probably I don't know.
My mind would be blown. I think, Coke would be step number one. Women. Obama on the podcast would be step number two.
Yeah, not
and then Beeple number three.
Beeple, yeah.
Well, probably Beeple and Obama.
I was thinking of
wouldn't that be crazy?
The absolute opposites of what you were saying.
So Beeple first, then Obama, then cocaine.
I think cocaine should be put in priority because I don't want to sleep. I want to continue the high.
What if we did Coke with Obama and Beeple at once?
And Coke with them?
Yeah.
Nice.
He says, I don't like the whole pretend like you don't care. We care about attention.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, as I brought up in, oh goodness, I just dropped my phone. As I brought up in the Visionary podcast, a quote from one of my favorite artists, John Bellion, said, "Faking humble is a whole new way to be arrogant." So
Damn. Did you say that?
I did say that.
Holy shit! I've not been paying attention.
Yeah, to fake humble is a whole new way to be arrogant. So people, yeah, I mean, we've already talked about this, but the ego of no ego. That's kind of deep.
Shit, you just like destroyed my whole philosophy right there.
Ego of no ego. Wow.
Have you?
But it's totally correct. It's totally correct, because the people that are always talking about how they're humble or they don't have an ego or they're always putting attention to other people, they know that it always brings attention back to themselves, right? The more that I talk about, Jimmy, you're so amazing, and I think you're great.
Stop
and your
it. I know this is fake, but you're making me blush.
But I'm talking. The attention's still on me.
True.
You
And
know,
I will like you
like
for
I'm
that.
so
I would like you
badass
more that
I
you complimented me.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's all cloud. It's all ego,
He's
man.
just destroyed the Not Network podcast.
But you're right. We do care about attention. Everybody cares about attention.
Mm-hmm.
We're attention-seeking beings. We love relationships.
This kind of goes into like, is it that philosophy argument? Is it for like that selfless or altruistic? You know what I mean?
I'm of the camp that everyone is inherently selfish.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
I want to believe that's what benefits people staying alive. Everything that we do is for ourselves. Every single thing.
Not true.
It is true.
That's not true.
100%.
So actually, in caveman times, you know, you were supposed to be. This is the difference is that our lifespan has increased, and this is why we can think about this. Is that, you know, early in life when we're thinking of like, ooh, you know, something looks really tasty. Maybe that donut. I hate myself.
Oh yeah.
That donut looks really tasty. I don't want Matt. So picture this, everybody. We have a donut here in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at this donut, and Matthew's not looking at it, but I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I can take this and I can eat it, and it's just enough for me to eat, and Matthew won't get it. But in the long-term sphere of things, if I let Matthew have it, Matthew will be a little bit more happier. He doesn't know that I have to say, you know, Matthew, you can have this donut. I could be nice and be like, you can have this donut, but when we're going back, it's always going to bring that attention back to me if I was the nicer guy. Which the ROI is the long-term investment for that. So you know what?
But that's still for you.
It is still for me.
So all acts are selfish in some way or another.
But
short-term or long-term.
I think long-term, yes, but short-term, it could be altruistic. But still him being happy, yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Sure.
ARC4G is on my side. And you're wrong.
Okay, I'm wrong. Okay?
Cool.
I said it. I'm wrong.
Well, ARC4, he says it's complex.
It's complex.
LOL. So
we don't have PhD. Yeah. Let's get back to ARC.
None of us are philosophers. We're not. Yes, we're not.
All right. So next question we asked him was, can you tell us more about SMA and what it is from the perspective of someone who has this kind of disease? And he said, it's basically a wizard curse / spell that makes you have very little muscle strength, and it leads to more muscle loss throughout the years. But jokes aside, yeah, that's basically it. Read the Wikipedia page for SMA article or something.
Yeah.
We're reading verbatim of what he said.
Yes.
But, and that's what the Wikipedia said when we began the podcast, and it really sums it up well. So we asked him, what's it like growing up as a kid with SMA? He says, when you're a kid, you don't notice or care about this kind of stuff. I knew I had a disability and I was different, but I didn't think about it that much. I just did whatever kids were doing, play video games and play with toys, etc. I guess since I was homeschooled, I didn't interact with a lot of people at that age. So I skipped the whole school drama and bully stuff. But with that, the positive comes a negative, that no school equal no friends. So I didn't have many friends, and only recently started making friends now that I'm older.
So has this Blender and 3D community really fostered those friendships? Is that kind of where a lot of your friends are made from, or is it just being an adult?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of people, they get into this community and all of their friends are in the community too, because you end up getting close with some of these people that you work with, and you love their art, and you talk with them on Twitter. And that's the great thing about the community is everybody's on Twitter, and you could just message anybody, and almost everyone will respond.
Yeah, and even right now, more people on Instagram are going to Twitter. Yeah. So he says, I got all my friends from shit posting on Discord in 2017. Which, ironically enough, I don't know if you know this, but Mad Dog Jones, when in the early stages, started making outlandish comments on like Slime Sundays and Euphoria's Instagrams. And so that's actually, he got attention and started making friends. Now. I know, look at him now. He sold...
The value of shit posting.
Yes.
And being mean to people online. No, I'm kidding.
There's like a fine balance, because I know this guy. Well, we talked about him before with the Dizzy Viper, but Clen3D. Yeah. I love this kid. This kid's like he's so aggro. He's so aggressive, and you just kind of have to look and know that his aggression is channeled for his passion, and so his passion for 3D. But it doesn't sound like you were passionate on. It sounds like shit posting on Discord. What do you mean by a shit posting?
Yeah, are we talking like shitty memes or just like trolling people?
I know ARC has some roast.
The troll face.
It wasn't related to 3D. No, he was roaster.
Yeah, ARC is the troll face guy from 2012.
We can only expect this from the amount of Pepe that we've seen in this Discord chat, dude. It's taboo. Banned in 100% Russia.
100% banned in Russia. Dude, if it's banned in Russia, I want my hands clean of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're not a Russia fan?
No, I wouldn't say that. Don't say that.
No?
There's a laser on your forehead right now, Jimmy. Holy shit.
No, he didn't do anything bad.
Chat, make friends, etc.
That's how you do it.
It is how you do it.
Dude.
I respect that.
Yeah.
The internet can be a really magical place for doing things like that.
Mm-hmm. That was me.
Come on, bro.
My bad. So next question we asked him was, what was it like growing up? Sorry, I just asked that. He said, we asked him, has your family been supportive through your artistic endeavors? He says, yes, ! Very much so.
So, first of all, that's awesome. I'm really proud of your parents for fostering that for you.
Shout out to the parents of ARC4G.
Yeah. But I have a question. Do you, with your disability, are you still living with them, and do you have to live with them just like forever? Is that the plan, or are you on your own? You do. Okay.
Gotcha. But with NFTs,
there you go.
We're gonna start down the rabbit hole with NFTs.
I know.
Let's go for it.
You might be able to move out. Okay.
Ooh.
So that's a really exciting proposition, I would guess, or is that a little bit like, ooh? Was that ever even a possibility for you before?
Yeah.
Let me ask you that. Because I would think that's, I mean, if you were expecting, I'll use myself as an example. If I was expecting to live with my parents for the rest of my life, for example, and then something came about where like, oh, wow, maybe I don't have to do that. That would kind of scare me, even though it's all exciting.
He says it wasn't even imaginable 6 months ago.
Wow. Not even imaginable.
So this recent, I guess,
that's insane.
Enlightenment of having that possibility.
Yeah. Well, that's like I said, you found your thing. You're using the trackpad, you're using your smartphone, and you're doing it. And you're minting things, you're selling them because you make good stuff. None of it really is about your disability at all. It's because you make good stuff. That's the really cool thing about NFTs. It doesn't really matter how you got there.
Yeah. I remember 3Loud, he just recently tweeted, we're putting the power back into artists. And ARC just said, yeah, I downplay it a lot, but NFTs are literally changing my life.
That's super exciting.
That's what I love to fucking hear.
I know. That's just, I love hearing that. And any collectors that happen to be listening right now, this over anyone
at ARC4G.
ARC4G, he's a guy to support for sure. Because like you said, it is changing your life, and it's changing a lot of people's lives, which is an amazing thing about watching the space and people that, we're kind of getting close to, is watching them grow and how quickly they're growing. And it really is changing lives in a lot more ways than just monetarily, obviously, because that's not the most important thing, but people are making friends, fostering relationships, getting better at creating art. And it's amazing. He said, yeah, I basically went from 0 to 100.
Wow.
And it's such a short amount of time too. Like before we started this, we asked you how many interviews have you done? And you're like, it was a few, but just in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
Like, people want to talk to you.
He's popping off. Most people at least have a job or a possible job.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
In the NFT space?
Can't get a job with SMA, he says.
Yeah.
That's a good point, because I guess you could say some other people would have something to fall back on if something doesn't work out. But
this is it.
For you, yeah, this is it. And for a lot of people, they say that, but at the end of the day, it's really not. Like, they can do whatever they really want to. But I guess, does that kind of drive you to keep getting better? And does that just make you want to dive into the space even more?
That's a good question.
I would think so. Makes me save up more. Yeah.
So having that pressure and seeing it streamline. Oh, he says
because the carpet can be pulled any time.
Yeah, so it makes him want to save up right now. So you are okay. So that was gonna actually my next question. So what do you think about the future of NFTs? And if there's a possibility of it being the carpet, so to speak, being pulled out from under you, what you're starting to save, and what do you? I guess what is the main goal? What's the long-term goal for ARC4G? Because even though, like we were saying before, like we do like the attention, we do this for fun. These are all true. But at the end of the day, like there are two main important things in life, and that is the health and welfare of our family members, and being somewhat content and happy in this thing called life. I got really existential with ARC this morning. It was like at 6 a.m.
Oh,
dude, I
dear
love
God.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I guess the carpet could be pulled at any time. And like when we started this podcast back in September, it was still like, it's crazy thinking about this because that wasn't that long ago, but it felt like the space was a little more volatile than it is now. Oh. Volatile as in like
it could be something. It
could be going or it could not.
Exactly.
But now like the train is rolling.
I remember just
the steam's pumping.
Yeah, it was Bill Ellis and Blake Catherine were the only people that I were seeing that were like making crypto art. And then it was just like a meme. And like our third podcast, like I dropped crypto art and like I butchered the meaning behind it. But then, we went a bit more into investigating it. And so then the fifth person we talked to was like one of the head honchos at Nifty, Artist Relations.
Shout out to Tom. I just called him Timmy. Timmy Kimmelman. Timmy Kimmelman.
Tommy Kimmelman.
Tommy. Yeah, we love Tommy.
He's on fire. He can I have no idea like how he does what he does in a day, and having the professionalism that it takes to do that. It's kind of cool.
He's great.
He says, so ARC just said, I'm trying to secure myself a bit. I really don't know what can happen in the future. I'm hopeful.
Hopeful, probably.
Yes.
Hopeful.
Autocorrect. Hate you. We met Tommy through... Do I want to say the story?
Say it.
Okay.
Say the story.
So it was like December 24th.
Wow.
It was Christmas Eve or Christmas Eve's Eve. I remember this very vividly. Yeah. I was having dinner with some bros, and we cracked out the champagne. It was Christmas. We were feeling good. I was the only one who drank the wine and champagne because I guess everybody else liked cheap beer. So I had all these alcoholic beverages to myself. I was feeling myself, to say the least. And at the end, we said our goodbyes. I was not emotional, not faded. I'm stone cold killer.
Yeah.
And so, but then I had some pre-workout because I had a dare.
Because you're an animal. Because you'll do any and everything to your body.
12 a.m. So I had some pre-workout with the booze. I was jacked. I was very, very just pumped up. I was wired. And so, this is also in December when the NFT space, and especially Nifty, was like, I would say it was on its steep incline.
Yes.
And I went on Twitter and I was just making a rampage, dude. Like, not on just like artist posts, but just like anybody. Like I was freaking, dude, I was probably the best me that could ever happen.
Wow.
Alcoholic and pre-workout Jimmy.
Yeah.
Is just
pumped full of garbage.
I know. Straight trash. You know what would have made it better? A Tostino's pizza. That's actual like shit.
Yeah.
Like the shit food.
Yeah, that's dookie that you're putting into your body.
I think I did about 20 or 50 push-ups.
Oh.
And then like I went to town. But anyways, back to your question, how did you meet Tommy? So I was on Twitter and I was like, you know what? We need to give Tommy a little look-see. So I go on his profile and I'm searching Nifty Gateway. And I already messaged, being ballsy as I am, I just messaged Nifty Gateway a picture of me doing a cartwheel and said, what up? They didn't respond to that. So I messaged Tommy himself. I didn't send the cartwheel. I should have, though.
It's probably good that you did.
Yeah, it's probably good that I didn't. Never mind. So I hit him up and I'm like, hey, dude, we should talk. And that's the thing about Tommy is that his network and how he connects to people is pretty much straight through Twitter and then actual real people.
Yeah, he's like, let's Zoom.
Twitter's a big deal. Yeah. So that's how we met Tommy. Freaking G.
Yeah, he was gracious enough to come and let us talk at him for an hour and a half.
Twice, yeah, because we we also were late.
We were late
to his email.
Felt so bad.
Oh my goodness, I hate.
But he was so
time
gracious.
zones. Yeah,
so gracious, so nice.
Mm-hmm.
We love Tommy. We support Tommy.
Very informative too. We're Tommy stands.
Yeah, he's kind of like a certified badass in my book.
He
tweeted something a few weeks ago, like what did he say? He said like, if you didn't think I could.
Oh yeah.
What did he? It was like hard as shit.
Yeah,
I was like, fuck.
No,
dude.
he said something
punch you in the
recently.
chest right now.
Yeah. So ARC, we did have an interview with Tommy.
Yeah, episode number
6, 5, no
7,
5.
5 was A4,
We had him right after Patrick. We had him right before Patrick.
I don't know. I'll check real quick.
They're all blurring. They're all blending together in our minds.
But we did have an interview with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was really cool and exciting. I'm betting you also talked to Tommy, right?
It was number 10. We were way the fuck off.
Yeah. So Ark just said he's big now. You probably can't afford him now.
Yeah, no way.
We can't. We literally can't. We've
100%.
We've tried talking to him. Hey, Tommy. No.
He's like, shut up.
I know. I'm
peasants.
too big for you.
Why don't you get a Beeple and come back and talk to me?
Oh, man. Yeah. I can't believe we drew on his face on our Our page.
The disrespect.
Right. Tommy just recently tweeted like, I'm getting all these emails saying, oh, this must have been in my spam. Alexa, shut up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Hark. You gotta hear that. So yeah. But Ark's typing right now. That reminded me of the first time.
Oh, story time.
Me. Ooh, okay. We're getting a little story time from
Nifty Gateway was pretty
Ark.
new, he says. So I was hesitant. Oh wow.
Most people were. I talked to a lot of other people.
Perry Cooper.
Well,
not about Nifty in particular, but
yeah, I talked to some other artists about some. But thankfully, I wasn't a dick.
We're proud of you for doing that. I'm surprised you didn't send like a Pepe meme like "fuck you."
And you had 3 drops with them. Nice. I actually don't think I've seen your drops.
I actually haven't either. When were these?
I've only seen Maker's Place and a Foundation. That's the one that you just sent me.
They're probably earlier last year, maybe.
2 months ago.
Oh.
Yeah, dude, it's risen so much, and it's all because of like Gary Vee was like, CNBC, hey, I like Nifties, NFTs, Beeple, and it's just like
dropping all the names.
What the fuck?
What do you say to me?
It's incredible of what's happening.
It's weird. It's weird watching it unfold, like seeing new people learn about it, and like it seems like I'm getting texts from people every other day, of like, hey, I heard you might know a little bit about this.
Really?
Yeah, just like from my friends, they're like, yeah, so tell me a little bit about this. Yeah.
That's always great to see. So Ark just said it was surreal. His first drop was 2 months ago with Nifty, and he said it's surreal being in a list with all those stars. And I just have to say, it's not surreal to me because you totally fit in with them.
Because Ark, you are a star.
You're a star.
Wow.
And that's like goes back to what we've been saying is that it's maybe a little bit of imposter syndrome, but like when I first looked at your stuff, I was like, this is up to snuff. Like who's making this? Yeah, and ARC's just going off on, even in the future, he says, when it's super big, I can flex for being early on. And you're part of the OGs, dude. You are part of the OGs, like a freaking hipster, dude. He says like a hipster.
You're a total hipster. I believe that. Mm-hmm. You're an OG. You're a hipster. You're a star. You're everything. You're everything to me.
Yeah. We're getting emotional here.
I know. I'm about to drop it to you. Anyway.
So we asked him, what kind of different tools or supplies do you have to help with your disability? And he wrote about this, and a lot of information is about kind of the tools, or even his process of how ARC got set up is in these Medium articles that we're totally linking.
Yes, they're great articles.
Right. We're just not going to focus on that much because, y'all can search up the articles yourself.
Please do.
And read them. But he has a great pathway and a mindset of just kind of starting out in 3D. If you're wondering, like, what do I look? Blender's so complicated. I don't know what nodes are. And I don't know, all this stuff, is that he has a list of great tutorials to use to just kind of get started and get you pumped up. And I really enjoyed watching somebody else's perspective on watching YouTube, because I didn't go to school, ARC. I don't know if I told you that. I didn't go to school either. And YouTube is the main master. But you are right when you're saying if you buy a course, it's going to definitely be a lot more structured, and you're kind of going to build context for how a program works and what people are talking about. So we also asked him Android versus iPhone. What do you like about Android? So ARC is an Android user. He said, fuck the iPhones. No, he didn't. But he didn't. But he's an Android user. So iPhones are cool, and Android phones are cool as well. I just prefer Android phones because they're more convenient for me, and I'm used to them.
No, that's what it boils down to.
Mm-hmm.
These phone wars.
Yeah.
I never understood them.
And it makes sense with, talking to software developers on, hey, can you let me have the old version of this app? A lot better with Android, because I feel like Android developers are a lot more succinct with their community, because you have to reach a certain status, I feel like, to be, on the App Store and get your stuff verified. But it's a lot more of a GitHub community on the Android sphere.
Good point.
Yeah, so if you want to get connected with that, Android's the way. We asked him another question. Tell us your thoughts on the Blender community and what it's like to be in it. Positive, negatives, any comments about this specific community in and of itself. So as we know, there are different communities. There are Cinema 4D users, there's Maya, and then there's the Blender version. Blender's free. You can get Blender. Anybody can get Blender. It's runnable on crappy laptops. You don't have to have the biggest, beefiest stuff, even though it helps. And this is what he has to say. It's a big community, probably the biggest 3D community. I can attest to that. So it's hard to give specific thoughts about it. Also, I'm not really involved that much in it. I just go there sometimes to check the news and for technical issues. And that makes me have a question. What kind of was it a big learning curve to learn 3D? You've been learning it for the past 3 years, but you've climbed so much. I've only been in it since late 2019, and I'm not on the grind as I used to be. So he's typing away. He says, yeah, the first year is mostly learning. Excuse me. Yeah. And that's what I found too, is that learning and finding things that you like. And he says, people need to understand it won't be fun at the beginning. It's overwhelming and it's tedious.
I'm sure that weeds a lot of people out.
Yes.
In the first place, because who did we talk about this with? I think it might have been Visionary that we talked about this with. It takes someone who's really passionate about something to get through that learning part, because you're thinking of what the end product will be. I'm sure when you started, you had someone that inspired you, and you were like, I want to make my stuff look something like theirs. I want my quality to look a little bit like theirs.
Right.
And then you start out and you're like, it's been 6 months and I still can't even make anything.
Right.
And you just have to keep that drive and that passion going. But at some point, a lot of people are just going to give up on it because they don't see that their efforts are paying off in any way.
It's and this is what ARC's saying. It's a pretty big spirit. He says, and the more you get in the weeds, the more you learn, the more you understand you don't know shit. And that's so true, because in a 3D world, it's so humbling, because it's kind of like you're learning everything over again. He says 3D is a huge ocean, with so many parts, people specializing in lighting, characters, product visuals. There's literally so many sectors, he says. So, and like, I could not be just more, it super relatable. Super really, just like getting your feet wet is probably the biggest thing. Oh my goodness, I forgot what I was gonna say. I had something really
I bet important. It was profound and
amazing, and it's just
beautiful.
Gone. It's literally gone. Hate that for me.
I believe you.
And right. So he said at the beginning, you don't know shit. And it's a very humbling experience. And that's really cool, is that a lot of the people who are like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm going to, start my t-shirt business. Not hating on the t-shirt business, but kind of am. It's like not that easy. You can't just buy a machine and then make like 3 bars and have, letters in it. And then boom, you have like your own business. It's a lot of learning. He says, people usually think they can do it all. Just focus on what you enjoy doing. Don't try to learn everything. I think that's a really big point to kind of learn. And this is a dichotomy that we were talking about, because early in our podcast, we talked about diversifying, okay? Learning as much as you can and then building off of it. However, there's also that beginning stage of, if you like something, stick with it, because you're trying to find and you're trying to find the romance in the process of just loving what you're doing and just creating cool shit.
Yeah, well, just like we were talking about, stick with it, because that opportunity may come around to where 6 months ago, now you're doing something that was unimaginable 6 months ago.
Literally unimaginable.
Unimaginable.
For digital artists.
Exactly. And that was never a possibility before.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. And I learned my stuff from ARC4G, and when I talked to him, it was a complete treat. But like, I loved his abstract renders. So if I loved the final product, I want to learn how to do it. Okay, learning MoGraph tools. That's what he does. He uses cloners. He uses Renault Fracture. Okay, so he's using these MoGraph tools to create these images. I start using them. I'm starting to get in love with the process, and I try to focus more on that. Maybe I don't like it as much. Maybe I find modeling a little bit, and then I focus on that, and just kind of, you're finding your pathway, but enjoying it. I completely agree. You have to love it. You have to focus on, what you enjoy, and then have fun with that, because it's an adventure. It's all about exploration and just kind of finding out, what you like. Oh, that reminds me of a Kurt Vonnegut quote.
Who?
Kurt Vonnegut?
Kurt Vonnegut, okay.
He's a mastermind storyteller.
Yeah, I've heard of this man.
I cannot quote it because it's probably like 5 sentences long. But ARC just
Way
says...
too many sentences for you.
4 too many. ARC says, also, it's like a tree branch. Just follow whatever, keep moving. You might end up doing photography because you started 3D and found photography. If you didn't start in 3D, and you wouldn't have found photography. Are you going to say what I think you're going to say?
I'm going to say it.
Okay, go say it.
So we've talked about this so much, ARC4G, Mr. ARC4G, especially early on in the podcast of like, whenever everything isn't just one thing. All right, I said it. It's deep, okay? It's like you said, you can start doing 3D and then it builds into something else, and you can foster that. You can let that happen, because that's a natural progression to get into something and then have it start bleeding into something else that you're passionate about, or maybe you're more skilled at. But it's important to diversify yourself. It's important to be willing to kind of move around in a space, especially the creative space, because like you said, it's like a huge tree branch, and you can just, it's going off in every single direction. You can go photography, you can go filmmaking, you can go 3D art, you can do animations, you can do loops, and you can do it all if you want. But going from one thing to another can be really beneficial, and it can even help you. For example, by doing photography, it can help you with your 3D stuff because you're looking at things in the real world a different way, and it can help you get back into that virtual 3D world that you create yourself.
Yeah. So with the tree branch, you start in this 3D, which has like all these different lines of thought, and then you just follow that tree branch. Oh, I like composition in photos. Okay. So maybe I started there and I'm on this tree branch of composition, and then I just start taking a bunch of photos. So what's really interesting, and ARC, I don't know if you knew this, but I was listening to That's NFT, That's Nifty, That's Nifty podcast. Shout out to those guys.
Shout out.
I know Tyler's one of the names on there, and Mike. I'm so sorry for forgetting the other guy. But they were talking to Slime Sunday, and Slime actually started in Cinema 4D and Houdini. So the most complicated applications you could have. And then, he's making NFTs for, thank you, computer. He's making NFTs for with Photoshop and with these collages. And it's like, you don't think you need a certain eye for it, but you do. And he went through like being the most complicated application to doing very simple, but very beautiful and intricate kind of design. It's like I said, dichotomy.
Yeah.
You can say simple and intricate in the same sentence, and it just kind of fits. It's so amazingly weird.
Yeah.
So ARC said, do you want to read this?
More than anything.
Go read it.
ARC said, if I didn't start 3D, I wouldn't have started posting on Twitter, and I wouldn't have gotten the DM from the nifty people, and I wouldn't have gotten a drop, etc. So, I mean, exactly, like it's the butterfly effect. You start doing one thing, the flap of a I don't know if you're familiar with the butterfly effect. But
can you explain it to me?
The flap of a butterfly's wings on one side of the world can end up in a hurricane on the other side of the world.
Never heard of that before, but that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, but it's exactly what he's saying. Like, just opening the Blender application or any of the 3D applications, it can lead to you having the prospect. I'm just going to keep going back to this. Go back to the prospect of you doing something that was unimaginable 6 months ago.
Right.
And literally life-changing things. And you said because every event leads to another. Exactly.
Right.
So one thing leads to another, and then another, and then you see yourself, 10 years from now, and you
look at this big ass branch that I've created.
Exactly. You create
tree.
your own destiny. You just have to start doing things.
Yeah. I don't know if you're ARC, if you're in the line of fate, but I don't really fuck with fate.
Jimmy doesn't fuck with fate.
I like thinking about destiny because it gives me a little bit more control, like the control freak I am.
Totally.
But it does. Every event leads to another, and that also like attests to regrets of like thinking about regrets. Oh, if I would have done this. Oh, if I would have done that. You're in the position that you are right now, and if you look back, it only fucks with your neck. So looking forward and finding out those things, you'll never know what happened if you don't do it. So ARC just said, so basically the whole point is if you see an ad about playing golf and you don't really like golf, but you have nothing to do, go play golf. You can literally meet your wife or something.
Dude.
I think I need to go play golf.
Jimmy's looking for a wifey.
That's true though. That's true. You have no idea what can happen. That's
cool.
What's so fucking cool about life.
Exactly. They're always throwing shit at you.
Yeah, we can always get stuck in our head because we can be in a closed environment. But opening that environment up, and especially even though it sounds like a very closed off thing to do, which is be in the 3D community, which it can be if you don't go on Twitter, if you don't use any of the tools that are necessary to bolster you, then it can be a very closed off system. But if you open yourself up to it, you can discover like a lot of cool things, Getting out of that comfort zone.
That's very inspiring, Mr. ARC4G. I mean, because
you can literally meet your wife or something. I'm literally going, dude, I'm screenshotting this. I have like a list on my phone of like screenshots of inspiration that I'm planning to print out and just post to my wall. Dude, I have so many things on my wall, dude.
It's true. He looks like a psycho killer.
ARC can kind of see like these pictures on my wall.
Yeah.
Psycho killer. To find a psycho killer.
I'm someone who's psychotic and is willing to take a life.
I'm trying to find the killer.
Oh yeah. All right.
They have a running joke with me in my room that I'm a psychotic killer.
Well, ARC, you don't understand. Behind the computer screen, there's an entire wall of sticky notes with red yarn and tacks in the wall
That's
that
what
are
the
all
detectives
tied
do.
to each other. I mean, like, you look like you're a freaking crazy person. Like, I feel like there's going to be like news clippings up there from like the 1970s.
You're putting such a bad. That's what detectives do, though.
But you're not a detective.
I'm a detective for 3D and art and life, love, pursuit of happiness.
To my point, ARC4G.
Or wait, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, not love. Fuck love.
I think what you say about you're sitting there, you're doing nothing, you see an ad on TV. It's like I take for granted my ability to just go and do that. You know, a lot of people don't have the funds.
Yeah.
They don't have the physical ability to just go and do that. Or they just don't have the drive, or maybe they're mentally ill or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Some people might be here. Wait.
Some people might hear this and think, no shit, like this is obvious. And this is so true.
Exactly.
And that's the cool thing, is that on this 3D spectrum is that you have like the aspiring artist who doesn't do shit, and they're like, oh my goodness, I would love to do this, but they don't put in time and work. And then you have like a Beeple or something. It's like, yeah, like it's so simple. And that's because they've been doing it every day. I think it's the repetition. Oh, our Dan May said this one quote. It's, if you're persistent, you'll get it. But if you're consistent, you'll keep it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's that initial going for it and then keep going for it.
Yeah. No, but like you're saying, ARC, some people may hear this and think, no shit, but it's for the other people that think it's a waste of time to try stuff.
Exactly. It's their opportunity to go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So color me inspired. Next ad I see for anything, I'm going to do it. Hopefully it's not for like Viagra or something.
On Viagra. Huh?
I didn't say anything.
Okay. So Arc's still typing. So he brings up an example. He asks us a question. Like, someone would probably tell you, why would you start a podcast?
The market is full.
This is absolutely true.
There's so much competition, he says.
This is interesting. I'm
illustration.
I'm on the edge of my seat right now.
I know.
You've got us captivated, Arc. And it's crazy because, like, people do say that there's always the critiquers out there.
Always.
So he says, but you can be lucky and meet a lot of people that lead to bigger things.
Well, we've said this from the very beginning, Mr. ARC4G, that really this is just an excuse to talk to some cool people, which otherwise
like
would not give us the time to die. Yeah, I mean, if we just like randomly message you, like, hey, you want to just like chit chat?
Want to FaceTime?
Want to FaceTime? You'd be like, why?
I don't have an iPhone.
Oh. Yeah, but it's like you say, we have a podcast, and we had Tommy and we had Euphoria and Patrick and Perry Cooper on and stuff like that. It's like,
and like
sure.
Like we were talking about earlier, like, are we getting attention? Absolutely. It's like, I'm not gonna. It's like, I love to get the attention.
Sure.
I was starved at attention as a kid. No, we love the attention, but also it's kind of like, it's really cool that we can look at, you know, the people we've met and the connections, the quote unquote network, which is cringe to say.
Yeah. Not network.
But it's cool to look at that and just kind of be like, okay, now today I learned a different perspective. I can apply this and see if I like it. And that's the cool thing, is that talking to other people really opens up the broader, I feel like, relatability and, I don't know, to get things moving. Because if you see a post on Instagram or Twitter, it's really easy to try to comment and try to get in contact with them. But they would be like a busy person or something. Sure. But with a podcast, it's more relatable, it's more fluid. And that's why
the lost art of verbally communicating,
which is hard
live.
Yeah, I think it's hard.
It is hard.
Words are hard. English especially is hard.
He says, "What's the worst thing that could happen? It's worth the try." And yes,
I gotta pull up. I gotta pull up. Keep talking.
That's exactly the attitude that we've kind of come in this with. Is like, okay, what if nobody listens, or what if we can't get anybody else to come on because we're boring, or something like that. But honestly, that hasn't happened. Like, we could think that as much as we can, but that hasn't happened. It doesn't matter how many people at the end of the day are really listening, because we've had experiences, we've talked with people that are awesome, and we've made some really cool relationships with people from all over the world. And I'm glad to add Saudi Arabia to that list of
dude, hell yeah,
of countries of people that we've been able to talk to.
Yeah. Arc just said, I'm so sorry, Arc.
These computers are just yelling at us back and forth.
Dude, they're going at us. So Arc just said, that's why I DM my idol artists. The worst thing that could happen is they don't reply. And I've done that so many times.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have I gotten a response? Like a few.
Sure.
And the majority is no. But I mean, like, I'm fine with that because it's the act of reaching out. Oh, so he says it's led him to some big collaborations. Who have you collaborated with? Let's hear it. Who have you DM'd from the social media sphere and the power of the DM? What has the power of the DM done for you?
Yeah, please speak to this.
Enlighten us. And while you're talking about that, I'm gonna find this Kurt Vonnegut quote because it's attesting to what you're saying about going out and trying.
I don't remember seeing these he says too many to count. LOL. Damn. Dude, you're just kind of flexing on us this whole morning.
Double bicep flex.
It's kind of starting to piss me off, ARC4G.
Yeah,
you're flexing on me too much.
Making me want to hang up and go to work.
I know. And that's never good.
Yeah. I'm gonna find this quote real quick.
Oh, I know you are. Mm-hmm. Kurt Vonnegut. You've mentioned this name several times.
Kurt Vonnegut is a really great storyteller. Arc, I don't know if you've heard of him. I know you don't like books. You say people who read books are nerds. Well, you know what?
And they're stupid and he hates them.
Damn. I'm a big nerd. I'm a nerd now.
He says the biggest one so far is the Not Network podcast. Well, that's probably the truest thing you've said all morning.
Damn.
Arc. I mean,
this guy loves jazzing us up.
I know.
You're such a tease. You're a little tease. You know that?
He's really stroking the ego.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Even though I know it's a big fat lie.
Okay, so here's what Kurt Vonnegut says. When I was 15, I spent a month working on an archaeological dig. I was talking to one of the archaeologists one day during our lunch break, and he asks those kind of getting to know you questions you ask a lot of young people. Do you play sports? What's your favorite sport? And I told him, no, I don't play any sports. I do theater. I'm in choir. I play the violin and piano. I used to take art classes. And he went, wow, that's amazing. And I said, oh, no, but I'm not any good at any of them. And he said something then that I will never forget and which absolutely blew my mind because no one had ever said anything like that to me before. I don't think being good at things is the point of doing them. I think you've got all these wonderful experiences with different skills and that all teaches you things and makes you an interesting person no matter how well you do them. And that honestly changed my life because I went from a failure, someone who hadn't been talented enough at anything to excel, to someone who did things because I enjoyed them. I had been raised in such an achievement-oriented environment, so inundated with the myth of talent, that I thought it was only worth doing things if you could win at them.
He says, I remember reading that on Reddit. It's great. Damn. Okay. The Discord's going off right now for no reason.
They're loving that. I know they're not responding to what you just said, Art, because nobody can see it except me and Matthew. But
in spirit,
they're going off.
They're clapping. It's applause.
Yay. Even though it's like an inspirational quote that people like to throw out, like I love Vonnegut. I've read first book I've ever read. I don't know. I want to mute them though.
Yeah, you should mute them. So, I'm seeing anime profile pictures. I don't know what kind of Discords Jimmy's in.
You still hear us? You still hear us, right? Okay.
Yes, okay.
So yeah, he just asked who are they? I just turned them off. I'm sorry about that. I've been a fan of Vonnegut for a very long time. That's why I like to read books. He was the one who got me into books. I read Slaughterhouse-Five when I was a sophomore. It sounds like a really gruesome book, but it's honestly interesting. If you can get a chance to just take a peek at it, it's awesome.
Blow your pants off.
I like my pants though.
I know, but that's all
right. Okay. All right. So let's.
Arc is typing.
Arc is typing?
Yeah, dude.
Arc is typing.
Got something to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wanna talk.
He says, I'll only read my biography.
That's a roast.
This kind of has that big dick energy right now.
He does, dude.
Nice.
He's got no care in the world.
No. Keep going. He says, okay, I'll stop the egotistic shit posting. Just find it funny.
Hey, we find it funny too.
Mm-hmm.
We're all about it.
Yeah. Me?
On that
fan.
On that subject of egotistical shitposting and finding it funny, I want to talk about NFTs briefly again. I have another question about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
So I says, congratulations on your crypto art endeavors. What excites you the most about NFTs and the way the industry is moving? Also, what scares you the most about it? ARC replies, what I like most about NFTs is that they allowed me to make whatever I want and still make a living, instead of working with clients and having to make whatever they want and stress about it. That's a good distinction. And what scares me the most is all of this turning out to be a temporary bubble and we end up back where we started. But hopefully that doesn't happen and we still have room for growth. So about that bubble, I was just talking about this with somebody yesterday. I think that bubble is kind of like already popped. I think we're out. I think the NFT bubble is gone. And Tommy has talked about this on Twitter too. He's like, and NFTs are not in a bubble anymore.
Yeah, we're going mainstream, and he's
we're
like,
totally going mainstream.
This tweet has aged like fine wine.
It's dude, exactly. And the further we get out from him saying that, the better it ages, because it's still going. Mm-hmm. Because the excitement is real and the space is real. I think that's really what it comes down to. Like, this isn't some money scam. This isn't some fad. Like, art has always been around and it will always be around. This is just a new iteration of the space, and we need to take advantage of that.
I'm really interested to go back in history and see what blew up the Renaissance, and if maybe a new currency was kind of the foundation of it blowing up.
Interesting thought.
Yeah, because I always comparing like crypto art and the Ethereum to, especially since we're selling digital art, to kind of the Renaissance era of, like, you know, when they started selling art, or when the art movement happened. So ARC just said, it's really annoying when people that don't understand basic finance see big numbers and just go, money laundering.
That was a good read.
Thank you.
Money laundering.
Like, they heard that on Reddit and they don't understand how it works.
You're exactly right. You're 100% right. People heard that years ago about, like, how fine art is just how rich people put away their money in the mafia and stuff. Like, okay,
damn,
great.
you're calling me out. I just said that last night. Those literal words. Matthew likes to drop these little sly things that I've said, and he just likes to put me on blast on the podcast. Well, keep going, keep talking.
No, I mean, people hear things all these years ago, and they just relate it to new things, to sound smart and like they know things, because everybody at the end of the day just wants to impress everybody else.
Egotistical.
Look,
that's
I
selfish.
Get it. It's ego, man. And like you said, or it's a tax write-off. It's not free money to do a tax write-off. It's literally, it's a real economy.
Yeah,
this is a
so
real
annoying.
thing. Yeah, no, you're right. It's very annoying, ARC. And I 100% agree with you. But I think from this point, we're kind of maxing out. Okay, I don't want to say that. I think we're at a point where the appreciation is still more than the excitement about the money, because a lot of the artists are just supporting each other. And that's how it has been.
Yeah,
but now more people are getting into it because, like you're saying, ARC, they are seeing those big numbers and going, herder.
Shout out to Logan
exciting.
Paul.
Yeah, exactly. I want to make money too, because I have a huge following. And that's kind of a unique thing about this, is a lot of this is really about the person behind the art as well. And these are a lot of personalities, like people and
they have a
likable
community
people,
like behind them, and I think that's what also amplifies it too.
Exactly,
because even artists are getting pissed off at like other artists who are just like, maybe I can get some big money. Which, I mean, it's fair, but you also want to invest back, and I think that's
always,
and especially in the 3D community with Maxon doing, I think it's called SIGGRAPH or Cinema, some learning Cinema 4D like in Las Vegas every single year. It's not called CES, but it's called something else. I'm completely blanking on it. I just learned about it. But like, it's the software investing back into the artist, and it's artists shout out the software, and it's kind of like this revolving great thing. And so now it's happening with, I think, NFTs, is that like, ooh, got a little close. That NFTs is that like an artist buys something from, you know, their buddy because they bought it, so they have the money, and it's just cycling through, and they're all gassing each other up. And it also helps the NFT space because they're getting, you know, a lot more attention. Sure. And it's also helping the artist because they're getting attention. So it's kind of like, you know, building each other up.
Yeah. And the money always helps. Like the money still is helping the community because artists need money
absolutely.
to live.
It's the economy that's rushing in.
So it's always a good thing.
Yeah.
But you're saying, ARC, it's very elitist as well as being annoying. The environmental issues are valid, but people are using it as an excuse to guilt artists.
Yes. And
that never made sense to me. But you go on to say it's guilt tripping the employees, it's guilt tripping the employees at the only well-paying factory in town versus putting effort into convincing the CEO and the owners at the factory.
Yeah,
so you're totally right. You can't blame like the McDonald's employee for the rise in the price of the hamburger.
Right, and if we
it's the
want
exact same thing.
And I think the only reason it's happening now is the environmental issues is because technology, we can get that information so fast, and so Ethereum I feel like it's pretty new to the crypto universe, and so is Bitcoin, but like it's incredibly taxing. Like there's no doubt about it. It's incredibly taxing on the environment, but at the same time, that's not to say that there are coders and developers that are making better, efficient software like Ethereum 2.0.
Exactly. Yeah, you just brought that up. And hopefully Ethereum 2.0 will fix the environmental issues.
Yeah, it will, because the way I went into like a little bit of research, but I don't want to get into the weeds because I don't know much about that.
Yeah,
but
I don't want to spread any misinformation.
Yeah, so ETH 2.0 is definitely going to fix it, and the way that they're not going to crash the system is they're releasing it by increments. Each strategy that they're doing is going to improve it little by slow. But that's the thing. Everybody kind of wants this now. Everybody wants a big commotion, and so that's why they're going to get it out. That's not to excuse the valid concerns about environment, because we do love the earth, but at the same time, like this is you can't judge something right before it gets out of the gate.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. So ARC, you went on to say people are confusing Bitcoin with Ethereum. Bitcoin will always be bad for the environment, it seems, but Ethereum is going to update and stop the mining issue.
Right.
So that's a huge point to bring up, because the community has heard these concerns about the environment, and we do care about that. And unlike oil or Bitcoin, it's like we're making so much money, we don't give a fuck. We're not gonna change any of that stuff. And we've been hearing this environmental issue for like 50 years about the oil and gas industry, and they're like, we're not doing anything about it. And as soon as we figure out, okay, this may not be good or sustainable, they're changing it. Like like you said, they're updating and stopping the mining issue because we actually care about it. And that's how you know that this train is not going to stop by
it's going to go to the moon.
To the moon.
And that's the really cool thing, is because it's artists investing in artists about NFT. Like those are the heavy hitters. There's of course other people using Ethereum to their advantage, but because of this NFT sphere, is that artists are the main ones concerned about like environment. And other progressive ideals. So they are going to be the ones that have the power to put that as a priority, which benefits everything. And
power is in the artists.
Power to the people.
That's right, dude.
It's nice. It's just like a good feeling. Like it's not happening now, but it will happen. And we just kind of have to have the patience and also kind of the fervor to keep pushing it.
Yeah. And we know it's going to happen because the community is so strong and so passionate about what they're doing, that we want this to keep going. So if we need to make it sustainable, then let's make it sustainable. It's it's not really a huge deal. If we can keep doing what we're doing in a different way that's better for the earth and better to keep people, at bay.
Yeah. People just have like
we're going to do that.
Too big of an expectation of saying, well, let's just stop it so it makes the environment good again. Or like it stops hurting the environment. And it's like, we've created a whole digital market, something that's never been done before, and you're already shitting on it before it can actually come into fruition. Yeah. And I think that's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. It puts pressure, but also it's good because it puts pressure on priorities, but it's bad because like it's just kind of hating, and that's a negative point. Yeah. ARC just said, my whole point is, yes, let's try to fix the environment issue, but please don't guilt artists into quitting the only thing that's making a living for them. It comes from privilege. People with jobs, it's easy for them to say.
That's you definitely provide a good perspective from that, because that's exactly what we were talking about earlier. Other people have something to fall back on, but this is your everything right now, and this is what you do. Like this is what This is what like you're
Sustains
here
you.
for.
Yeah. So
So yeah, that's a good point to bring up. It is a privilege for everyone to just be like, if we have to stop, then okay, you got me.
that's the expectation.
You don't have
It's
any
too
other
high.
choice.
Right. And it's not like to say like with everything you need to get your hands dirty to achieve something great, but I mean that's kind of the point of getting your hands dirty. Is like if you've always had clean hands, then you don't know what like dirty feels like.
Yeah.
Or like even a little bit of dirt, you overreact to that. So if you've had like a really good fucking life and like a little bit of bad thing happens to you, you're going to just be like, oh my goodness, this is terrible. This is the worst thing ever. It's no, bitch. Get some perspective.
Yes.
Sorry. Oops. That was a little aggro. But that's the point of it is that there's other perspectives that we need to look at.
Yeah, you say, even if we all quit crypto art, that's hard to say. Quit crypto
art.
Even if we all quit crypto art, it won't make any difference. So it's just a loss. The mining will continue. That's a good point because Ethereum is, at the end of the day, it's just cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
But we're using that blockchain to do the crypto art. So people are still going to be mining because it's still going to be making them money.
Well, it won't be as if like everything stopped. It'll definitely put a significant drop, but that's not to say that like studios and servers,
it would pick up somewhere else that people didn't care.
It's going to pick up somewhere else. And that's the thing is that if this gets big enough and we have Ethereum 2.0 as a motivator, it's just going to build up like just the goodness. I that's the only thing I can describe it. And it's so like elementary and so like I feel like a little kid saying just good. I feel like I need bigger words in my repertoire. But
that was a big one.
Yeah. Oh, huh?
Repertoire. That was a good one.
Oh, thank you, dude. But yeah. Dude, I love talking to you, dude.
I know.
I love talking about crypto art and stuff. Also, as a final point, I'm not gonna say that. Okay, I will because like you asked us to, but ARC says I'm dumb, so don't get mad. I'm just making hot takes.
I'm ready for a hot take.
We're ready. We love hot takes because we got room temp vibes.
Ooh, bars, dude.
Thanks,
what?
Bro.
Yeah, we're all about hot takes.
I don't think you're dumb. I think
NNP.
It's good to just kind of explore different perspectives and talk about it. So,
oh, he said LMAO. I'm talking about my previous rant. So that's the hot take.
Which previous rant? You've had a lot of them.
No, the mining issue and
okay.
I don't think that was a rant.
No, I don't think
Not
so
a hot
either.
Take at all. That's a perfectly appropriate take.
Yeah.
Take it all with a grain of salt. Yeah, of course. Yeah, he says just saying take it all with a grain of salt. Yes, you should do that with everything that we say because we are just two guys.
I guess this is more for like an informative or this isn't this is not an educational.
This is not
podcast.
Educational. Yes.
Oh, I hope it's not.
Dear God. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I agree with the sentiment that I am also dumb.
So yes, I am dumb too.
Yeah.
I totally agree with it. So he's saying take it with a grain of salt as a disclaimer.
Yeah. Yes, grain of salt, everything, please. And this is all. Of course, all of this is up for discussion. So we love having discussions about this kind of stuff. So
I freaking love that ARC is just like, by the way, disclaimer. I would have never thought of that.
I know, right? I know. You're so professional.
I feel like I say a bunch of stupid shit and just
you need to be play it off. You need to be our filter, our PR person.
PR ARC,
or
Park. Oh no.
Yeah. Anyway, dumb.
Yeah, that was dumb. Keep coming out with the disclaimers, but if we're probably gonna hop back on the NFT space, but just I just want to get some more information about ARC out there. So we asked him about, does he like to read books? He says no. That's some nerd shit right there.
Yeah,
absolutely, total nerd for books. So we also asked, do you have a specific daily task or daily routine? What's it like to be a day in the life of ARC4G? And this is what he says. And this is what I talked with him this morning. He wakes up, drinks some tea, checks his email, check Twitter, checks Discord. I was 4th on the list. We were talking on Discord earlier. Feeling good about that. Check Instagram and then maybe sketch around in 3D. He's not going to write his whole 3D schedule or his schedule in general because that's the secret juice that he has, okay?
Different ingredients.
So, no, we're not...
The Krabby Patty secret formula.
Secret sauce right here.
If you will.
Yeah, we won't put you on blast for that. Also, if anybody's interested in buying ARC some coffee, he does prefer tea, but he does have a buy coffee page that will be linked in the show notes. He made that page for fun, but you can literally just like pitch in $2 for coffee.
Buy him a coffee.
Mm-hmm. Just cause.
What's the currency over there in Saudi, real quick? I don't know what it's called. I'd like to learn. I'm gonna guess.
ARC is typing.
Rial.
Rial.
Well, isn't that
Rial. Who's right?
It's Rial. It's got to be Rial.
Who's right? We're both
Say
gonna
blue
be
shirt.
wrong.
I'm wearing a blue shirt. You called me blue shirt earlier.
Say red shirt.
Let's go,
bro. I think you just hate me.
Well, obviously, because you're butchering his fucking language.
Wrong. Damn. Yeah.
Anyway, well, that's similar to the place you're living. Rial. What was that called? Rialta?
I honestly forgot.
It was something.
I have a terrible memory. That's why I have my phone with me all the time. The middle. I remember it's the middle.
Yeah.
Jimmy Eat the World.
Riyadh. Yes, similar. Got the Riyah.
The R-I-Y.
Anyway, yeah, send him a couple Rial. I don't know what the exchange rate there.
No, it's translated to US. There's no, you don't have to do the math. Is that why you were asking?
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah. No, it's all good, dude.
He says, bruh, just buy my NFTs. Fuck off with this whole coffee thing.
Fuck the coffee.
Yeah, guys.
While I'm trying to plug his coffee, he's like, hey, let's not do that.
To the real deal here.
Nice.
His
okay.
NFTs, yeah. They are beautiful. We will have links to all of that stuff in the show notes, so please go support him because he's awesome.
Right. So another question we asked him is, what do you do to escape reality? How does that come through your art? He says, I watch a lot of Twitch TV, lol. And in terms of how that comes through my art, I honestly don't know. I don't try to convey anything with my art. Maybe I'm conveying something subconsciously, but I do not know.
There's always something to convey.
Yeah. And I really think it's the simplicity and the just kind of the basicness of what you do.
The minimalism.
The minimalism. Yes. Which, like, everybody, I don't know anybody who doesn't appreciate that, because that's not only that's like kind of that's modern, that's in right now, but also you're using your skill set to your advantage, and I think that's super badass to do. Yeah, it's like it's like what you were saying before about not kind of learning everything, but just focusing on what you know and just enjoying the hell out of it. Yeah.
Mark is typing.
He
stopped. No, he didn't. He says, I don't mind if people see it and think, I can make that. Oh, really? So you are content with what you make because, well, at the end of the day, you made it.
Yeah, it's
right.
Not
it
you.
Doesn't like he says, go try. LOL. And that's what it comes down to.
And that's when I want to bring it back to what we were talking earlier about the haters. Is that he has I don't even know how you say this website. Imgur.
I think so.
Imgur. I always want to say image, but it's that Imgur website. I find it funny that people have the audacity to reply, "It's not real," or "There's just some haters out there," and I really get pissed off with this too. I would just like to point out your reactions to these people in replying is that ARC has such a great attitude when approaching these haters. And we ask him, what do you try to instill in people after watching your renders, and what do you want them to feel? He says, I want them to be entertained and enjoy watching something. I stopped replying to negative comments because it's a waste of time. Why put energy into the few losers when tons of people like it? I'd rather give attention to the normal people who enjoy it, not the weirdos spreading hate. But you can't help find yourself sometimes, and you end up replying to them, especially when they make a false claim and people who don't know better think they're being truthful. So you end up having to reply with a correction, which is extremely annoying because you can type whatever on the internet, and with enough confident people will think you're telling the truth. Sorry, I butchered that last statement. Yeah. So,
yeah, I mean, it's, as you're saying, it's just easy. It's too easy to go online, type something up.
Fake news.
This looks like shit. I could have done this in my sleep with a blindfold on and a hand tied behind my back, and you're just like, but you didn't. Like that's the that's the thing
Go
that I
do it
love
yourself.
about your replies. You're like, okay, well then go do it, or why didn't you do this first, or just like stuff like that. That's just like, that's a good point. And what they can't say anything to that. And I also
because
like
they can't do it because they're
they
just
can't.
haters.
Yeah,
That's what
they have
haters
no
do.
idea.
They just complain.
And that's exactly why it is a waste of time to reply to those people, because they have no clue what it actually takes. They know nothing about the actual space.
Ark just said, and even if you do it, you probably have shit taste and style.
Totally right.
Well, and it's fun to roast because, and I don't think you should be sorry. He says, sorry, I'm just being salty that they're annoying. I don't think you should be sorry. It's because that you put in time, even if it's 3 years, even if you haven't spent a decade, you put time into it. You put time into learn your specific, what you want to do, simplistic minimalism, fun animations, looping animations, if at that. So it's like, they're doing it purposely. You have nothing to be sorry for. They're doing, you have more room to roast because they're doing it purposely because they feel like, I don't know what goes through actually I do know what haters go through because I can be a hater.
You're a hater?
Yeah. I'm not that, like, I'm not above everybody, but it's just, yeah. So Ark says, I understand why they do it. Maybe you can articulate it better than I can.
He's gonna come out with a big fat roast. I can tell. He's like, I know he's gonna
Ark is
say
typing.
something. It comes from people who just started learning 3D. So it's more about the actual technicalities.
So that brings it this graph, and actually Matthew was talking about this earlier. So when you first start learning something, you're getting in the community, you're finding out all this stuff. You think you know a shit ton. So in this graph, you like know a lot of shit. You think you know a lot, and
No, you know a little bit of stuff, but you think you're an expert.
Yeah, your ego's going up, and you think you're just like hot shit, and you can talk to your friends and say out these big terms when you actually really don't know anything. And then when you get into it, and Ark just said. It comes from just a few people who started learning 3D and know a few buttons and see a post with 40,000 upvotes and get mad and jealous. And he's saying exactly like the graph. You're seeing this graph of you think you have low skill, high enthusiasm, then you get back into you have a growing skill and you have a lower enthusiasm, and then you have the high skill and you have like a moderate enthusiasm because you know your shit, but you also know that you don't know everything because 3D is pretty big. Probably Beeple doesn't even, I know Beeple doesn't know everything. Mm-hmm. He claims, he always says that like, if he can't figure out how to do something, he'll just like turn the angle or like find a workaround because nobody can know the vast capabilities of a freaking real world system.
Yeah. Well, the thing about that graph is like that high point up at the beginning when you start to know stuff, it never gets that high again. You're confident in yourself. Never does it get that high ever again. Even when you're like 100% certified expert, your confidence level and your enthusiasm, like you were saying, it never gets back up to that high because it's inflated. It's fake.
And I feel like that once you do know your shit, like what you felt like, you have like the empathy for people who don't know anything. So you're not going to act like hot shit. You're going to be the better example. If you're like a good, leader in your community. So Ark just says, it comes from people that think complex means good. Yeah, so complexity means, this is like a good quality image, which is not always true. Ark is a testament to that, creating the minimalism animations. If you take 7 months making a detailed house, you're not entitled to people liking it.
That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good point. You're not entitled to anything whenever you make anything. That's kind of the interesting thing about art is people are going to think what they're going to think. Yeah, exactly. You can't control what anyone is going to think about your art. You just have to be happy with what you made. So if you start pandering to people, there's still always going to be a sect of people who are not going to like something. There's always going to be haters no matter what you do.
Yeah, I feel like that's a product of society of like being entitled to shit. And once you get your hands dirty with it, and actually put in a long period of time, because it's not just getting dirty with it, it's actually putting in the work for a long exposure of time, is that, you become more humbled and less entitled.
Yeah, and you said, and there are always people who will like it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that dichotomy. Yeah, he says the world is big. You can't please everybody, and you're not going to piss off everybody either. So stay in your lane.
That's a
do what you want to do. And people are going to like it. You're going to develop a community.
Yes. It's about your brand and what you want to put off because you can't please everybody.
Exactly.
Like Gary V.
Shout out Gary V.
Shout out Gary
Please
V.
come on the podcast.
like Gary V. It's like he curses a bunch. You know, there's some, but he's great with education. He has a lot of things to say that hold value, and especially in the artistic community, I know a lot of people who just like, you know, read his books and do the grind and do what he says, and you know, they're moving along. But like, there's also people who say, just because you curse, you can't speak at my school, my education realm, because that's inappropriate. Then you're not going to get the value of what he has to say. Things like that.
I saw something, maybe it was like a shower thoughts thing or something like that. It was like, children don't curse around adults because they think that they'll offend them, and adults don't curse around children because they think that they'll offend them. And it's like, what even is, like, what are we doing? This is like, doing? Have we not progressed past this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I understand like the history of like swear words and actually cursing someone.
Have you said that on Netflix?
Huh?
Have you seen that on Netflix?
What?
The history of swear words?
No.
With Nicolas Cage?
What? Oh,
Yeah.
with Nick Cage. I try to steer away with things with Nick Cage in it. Yeah.
He's a beast.
I liked Con Air.
We're moving on. Let's get back to ARC here. I don't see ARC typing anymore.
He probably fell asleep. Like, God, these guys are fucking. Blue shirt is just talking his little mouth.
Damn. So I guess we're nearing the end of our podcast, except ARC is typing now.
Yes. Please roast me.
Don't roast me.
Please.
I'm fragile.
I'm kidding. I'll cry.
Huh?
I'll cry. I will.
My NFT is getting sold in 10 minutes. So
Oh shit.
I'm checking it. You gotta go, bro.
Like, yeah.
We're gonna close out real quick. So if there's anything ARC you would like to plug, any socials, Reddit, he says, I'll plug my Twitter and Instagram. Both are at ARC4G and just ARC on most NFT platforms. Also, if you're a big whale listening to this, please go buy all my NFTs.
Shout out to the big whales, bro.
Big whale. Manatee, sea cow, go moo. Those are the whales of Whale Sea.
Yeah. Yeah, well, congratulations on this NFT. We're pumped for you. We're gonna be
this
watching.
afternoon. Absolutely. Okay, so we have a segment called Explain This Tweet on this podcast, and the tweet is, oh no.
Yep.
I think we might have lost it. Okay, yeah, hop off Twitter, hop off ARC, and we'll close this up for you.
Oh, he's got the tweet.
He's got the tweet. Dude, he's so much more prepared.
Oh my gosh.
Just
amazing. Try and see what happens.
Just try and see what happens. Okay, we'll close this out for you. Go watch that NFT, dude.
Yeah, dude. It's all about you, man.
And now it makes sense. Just see what happens. And now it makes sense.
With our previous conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. Full circle.
Full circle.
Salute.
Wow.
So he says, just try and see what happens is something that led me to where I am. It might sound like a basic thing that everyone knows, but you would be surprised at the amount of people that hesitate about trying anything. For example, I got into 3D because I thought, let's just see and try this and figure out what happens. I got into NFTs because I thought, let's see it. I became good friends with some of my favorite artists because I thought, let me just DM them and see what happens. Let's just do it. So
I love these hmms.
Thank you so much for having me in this podcast. Hope my answers were fun. He put a semicolon with a parentheses, which means smiley face. That makes me warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah, that is.
I'm showing Matthew right now. That's cute.
ARC4G, you are a
freaking
G. And we're super excited about your NFT. He just gave us another smiley face in the chat.
Dude, what's up?
Boom.
Yes.
It's a success. Guys, we're not networking. We're making friends. Congratulations, ARC4G. And good luck to you, sir. Have a beautiful day. We'll stay in touch.
I just want to thank Mr. ARC4G for spending the time with us, having a good little chat. Me and Matthew really enjoyed it. And we hope everybody else did too. Anyways, thanks for listening to the podcast, and we'll catch you in the next one next week.
And that's it.
That's it. Sick, dude.
You're amazing, bro. Go.
Dude,
go.
yeah, go.
Go watch.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
for
you're
your
awesome,
service.
dude.
Probably like
Probably. I can't even tell. I don't know.
Awesome.
I feel like it normally says it, but
Yeah.
that was great, dude.
I had fun.
As did I. That was like such a fluid conversation.
Bye.